Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a great day and that you are, above everything else, looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get into the topic of another fantastic episode, I want to welcome back to the channel Mr. Jim Bricker. How's it going, Jim?
Doing great, Armando. Happy to be here talking about killers.
There we go. Happy that you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Jim is referring to another episode of Attack of the Killer B-Sides. Now, as I've said before with this series of episodes, we have started from me. I have made a list of albums that I thought that the B-sides were in fact killer, from track one to track six, in some cases seven or eight. As I've said before, there were albums that were released in the 70s that you could actually fit seven or eight songs on a single slab of vinyl. But those days are long gone. And before we continue, I want to stress that this does not mean that the A sides of these albums are inferior in any way. They're not. We just thought we'd have a little bit of fun with this idea and concentrate on the B sides of these albums. And Jim has very graciously uh, agreed to appear with me on these episodes. I didn't have to bring him in kicking and screaming like I did Bill Schuster. He came willingly. So, without further ado, I will pass the virtual mic over to Jim, and he's going to talk about one of the albums that he feels has a killer B-side.
Yep, yep, I do. And actually, I will say that for me, this is an album where the B side is slightly better than the A side, but we'll get into that for in a minute. But
Okay.
yep, we're talking about Born to Run, the absolutely, magnificent Bust Him Wide Open album from Bruce Springsteen that came out August 25th of 75. Um, 39 minutes and change, and wow, it is fantastic. Now, like I said, I feel like side B is slightly better than side A, and really that kind of just comes down to one of the tracks on side A being not up to par with the others, which is Night. Um, Thunder Road and Backstreets, I think, are two absolutely A plus 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 tunes from
Yeah.
Springsteen's catalog, and I've got nothing but love for those songs. And 10th Avenue Freeze Out is fun, but I think as far as an overall side goes, it's just I don't know if uneven is the right word, but it doesn't kind of hit homer after homer after homer after homer like side B does.
Yeah.
So that's why I've chosen Born to Run as a place to kind of talk about with my first choice in this Killer Bee series. So
Okay. Okay. Um,
um, not having seen an episode of Killer Bees yet, how should I approach this, my good man?
just tell me from track one to track whatever on side two or side B, why these songs to you are killer and not filler.
All right, let's do that then. So track one on side B, Born to Run, the title cut. Um, I don't know what else to say about this track that hasn't
Well,
been
it's a
said
classic. Yeah,
a hundred times, before.
it's a
Um,
classic.
yeah, just the way that on this album, Springsteen, I think, really arrived and landed hard on his ability to tell stories. I mean, obviously, on the previous two albums, there's lots of storytelling going on, but it's a little verbose. It doesn't quite have the same, I'll say, thematic heft, and certainly not the economy that he was able to do with Born to Run. Um, and this is just such an outstanding song of taking the whole idea of that old classic, was it the Animal song, we got to get out of this place.
Yeah, yeah,
And this just kind of amplifies it with, overdriven guitars and sax and, big engines and muscle cars.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it really is a song about, you know, claiming your identity and separating it as, something new and something different. Um, I read somewhere that Born to Run is like the ultimate, you know, exit from Nixon, Watergate, Vietnam War, America type of song.
Yeah.
And I have some sympathy with that. I don't know if that's exactly what was in Springsteen's heart and mind when he was writing it, but it's definitely a call to action and to get up and get out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. If I can interject just very quickly, the way I described, for example, on the previous episode with Queen 2, with Side Black, the picture that is painted on that side of the album is very much a fantasy land of battle and of ogres and knights and, just going into battle and just uh, creating a fantasy land, right? Within the lyrical content. With Springsteen, you get much more of a heartfelt look into a person's life in the heartland of America, even with
Hmm.
lyrics like Mary dancing across the porch. It's like he's,
Oh,
he's painting, he's
yep,
painting in your mind an image of what he is seeing in his life, and he wants you to understand where he or where this character is coming from. So that's what I'm
yep,
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm getting when I'm hearing you talk about that. So
yep.
that's what
Right.
draws
Just
me
that.
in. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you 110% on that
yeah.
one.
I apologize. Keep
Um,
going.
no, 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 no. It's a give and take, bro. We're all, we're talking about the same things here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, so Born to Run, epic 4 minutes and 30 seconds of just this wall of sound of you know, uh, youthful zeal coming out. Um, just to escape and like get your own identity, like I was saying.
Mhm.
Track two on side B is also 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And it's kind of another part of youthful zeal, shall we say, and it's She's the One. Um,
Hmm.
I, this song is wow. It starts with this very low, bass, and then piano and glockenspiel is added to it, kind of with this hinted at Bo Diddley beat in the background, which of course comes to the front once the drums kick in. Um, and there's, of the many recordings that are out there from the 1978 tour, um, he paired She's the One with Not Fade Away. Love for real, not fade away. Bump, 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 bump. And then it would
Yeah,
go into She's the One after that. And it was just such a fantastic pairing. Um, you know, Bo Diddley working very strong for
yeah,
both of those.
yeah,
And the great thing about this song is obviously it's very fervent, it's very urgent. You know exactly where, his youthful hormones are going, with her long hair falling and her eyes that shine like the midnight sun. Again, that's almost as beautiful as, Mary dancing across the porch as the radio plays.
yeah, yeah. Very much a romanticizing of the scene of the imagery and of how he wants to portray
Hmm.
of what he's feeling at that point. I get it. I get it very
Yep.
much. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And then just the way the song is architected and it gets into the bridge, um, with I think it's with just one kiss, in these long summer nights and her tenderness. It's just, it just takes the song to a whole nother level. And that takes you into the saxophone solo and just the refrain of, She's the One.
Yeah,
And it just comes to this just classic end of just the E Street Band firing on all cylinders. And it's a different kind of passion than what you get on the initial track of Born to Run,
yeah,
but it's as strong and urgent and a little more hormonally charged than the first track.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I will agree. I will agree. No, no, okay.
Yeah, and
Next.
again, it's more about it's more about this journey of just growing up and growing out, and this is just another element of that. Um, Meeting across the river, the third song is like a complete left turn on this album,
Mhm.
whereas pretty much through the entire album, he's talking about um, youth. He's talking about faithfulness of friends and family and betrayal. He's talking about the drive of youth and the drive of freedom. This is this is a gangster story. I mean, it's this 3 minute 18-second just tiny little story about someone trying to make good with the wrong crowd that he's fallen into.
Yeah.
And just between Roy Battane's delicate piano, and I think it's Randy Brecker on trumpet. um,
Mhm.
it's just this fantastic little picture of of a story. And again,
Yeah.
he's told stories like this on the previous two albums, but this just has a brevity and an economy and just kind of a um, oh, what's the phrase I'm looking for? He's not as explicit as he was
Yeah.
on this album as he was in the other two. He's hinting at things more, and in that hinting, you kind of get to a stronger emotional core of
Mhm.
what's going on with these characters. So
Yeah.
it's the difference of show versus tell.
Yeah. Yeah. He's given you basically a blueprint of what he's trying to say, but he's not telling you outright. Like he's letting you make up your mind, leaving it open to interpretation, basically,
Hmm.
with what he's trying to convey in the message. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even just a simple as lyric, where it's like the word is out, this is our last chance. I mean, that's hinting at a larger story
Yeah. Yeah.
that's there, but yet he doesn't have to get into into the depths of it to really get his meaning across.
Yeah, I mean, okay, just a little side note, the only way I can give that as a comparison is if you listen to Supertramps, if everyone was listening,
Hmm.
what they're basically saying is, and I've said this before in the previous episode, what Roger Hodgson was trying to say was, we've lost the plot,
Yeah.
metaphorically, we've lost the plot on a lot of things. If everyone was listening, there'd be a chance that we could still save the show, that, like, for all intents and purposes, we've lost the plot of what we've originally set out to do, and we have to get back to what we originally tried to do, kind of thing. So, you know what I mean? Like I won't go into it too much more, but that's what I'm trying to say is like the lyrics are veiled um, in terms of their meaning. You have to really dig deep, right? And it's the same with Springsteen with these lyrics.
Hmm.
What he's doing. So, no, it's good though. Very good, very good. So.
Now, for me, even though it's kind of a left turn musically on the
Yeah,
album,
across the
it's
river. Yeah,
still it still kind of fits, and I don't know
yeah.
if that has to do with the composition of the song, or it's just Roy Battane's magnificent piano, or Roy Bittan, probably I should say it correctly.
Yeah. Okay.
um but do you find at all that Meeting Across the River is like too jarring of a change on side B?
Not really. I think it fits in exactly with what he's trying to put across musically on the album. Uh,
Hmm.
I don't think it's that jarring of a change in terms of lyrical idea.
Hmm.
I mean, Springsteen has always presented himself as someone who writes from the heart and writes from experience, and this just continues in that vein for me. You know.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have the immediacy of like in terms of of hit in terms of Born to Run, but
Sure.
it's still fantastic in its approach and its delivery and the arrangement of the song.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think also as I kind of look at the whole track list of side B, it's kind of important because Born to Run, high octane.
Yeah.
She's the one, very high octane. Let's bring things down a lot for Meeting Across the River to kind of let the listener sort of catch
Breathe a
their
little
breath,
bit.
if you
Yeah.
will,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then kind of cleanses the palate before you get into the final epic, which is Jungle Land,
Yeah. Yeah.
which, 9 minutes and 34 seconds you know, of really that Springsteen from the first and second albums in terms of like painting these amazing word pictures that are
Mhm.
going on. It's kind of like with Jungle Land, he's leaving the subtlety and the brevity behind of what he did with, all the other tracks on the album. But yet the track is so epic in scope with the violin, the piano, Clemens, amazing sax break in the middle of it that is just what, like 2.5, 3 minutes of just this, glorious melodic journey
Yeah.
to take you from the, sort of the tragic middle portion of the song to the, kind of the aftermath. Um,
Yeah.
it's just a brilliant piece of kind of, I'll call it like whereas Born to Run is kind of like the promise of youth. Jungle Land is kind of like the horror of youth. When you get people who are just completely driven by passion without logic, without compassion,
Yeah.
and without reason, that's where you get into, you know, everything
Yeah.
exploding, as it does in Jungle Land. And I think it's just a beautiful and realistic capstone on the album that sort of takes you through the whole, not a linear journey of youth, but it touches all the points along the way.
Yeah. A fair amount of aspects that we go through in terms of our lives. And yeah, and I mean, for me with Born to Run, in terms of a release, I think it was sort of a make or break for him because
Yes.
um, the first album, Greetings from Asbury Park, really didn't do well. The Good, the Bad, and the E Street Shuffle had Rosalita on it as a minor hit. So I think he was at a point where with Born to Run, I either have to go for it or I'm off, I'm done. And he went for it with this album.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't compromise any of his musical integrity in order to do it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you. No, it was a good choice. It's a good choice. Side B of
Yeah. I've been a Springsteen fan for what, like 45 years, and it's hard for me to think of a side, a B-side for his album that's just as solid and as strong as this one. I mean, each there are probably albums in his catalog that I think work better and speak to me, uh you know personally, a little bit better than this one. But there's just no denying just the absolute, fury and passion that comes from this side B. And, I'd stack it up against any other killer side B and say, if you're talking about one of the greatest side twos that are out there, I think Born to Run has got to be in the discussion.
yeah, and a little footnote. Let's not forget. Shortly after this, he went into his own jungle land as well in terms of going to court and getting back his publishing rights,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And he won.
He
he
did.
won. I mean, you want to talk about somebody going up against the odds. I mean, like, that's a case of life imitating art in that respect, because I mean, he went up against what was probably considered at the time insurmountable odds in order to get
Right.
what he felt was his. So yeah, no, fantastic choice. Fantastic choice for Attack of the Killer B-sides. No, I agree.
Glad it meets with your approval, good sir.
Well, my approval, I'm just my acknowledgement, not my approval. But no, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another wonderful segment of Attack of the Killer B-sides. Uh,
Check.
yeah, right in the
Don't write me a check. I'm just saying, yep, we checked that
No,
box.
no, no, no. I'm not going to write you a check. No, but no. Another fantastic episode. So please put down in the comments below your view on side B of Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. Maybe we missed something. You know what I mean? In the lyrical references and the in the music that maybe you feel that you should bring to light. You know what? Again, we're not musical experts at all in this with these albums. We're just telling you what we like and what we feel and what these albums bring up for us. So please let me know again. Sorry, let us know what you feel about this album, and we will be back with another episode of Attack of the Killer B-sides. All right. Please again click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we've got coming up. And please look after yourselves and one another. And we'll see you soon with another segment of Attack of the Killer B-sides. Bye for now.